every single way. The God who made the you, I'm about to have a good day.
Hey everybody, it's Waxy Brown. I appreciate you guys all tuning in for this very special Courage and Cannabis, Courage and Comedy episode featuring a very good friend of mine and actually a friend to all of us as a cannabis advocate and activist. We have Jason Gann, the creator and star of Wilfred, the TV series. I'm super excited to have my friend on the show. Jason, welcome to the show, my friend.
G'day, Waxy. Good to see you again, mate. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. We've also got some good friends of ours. We got Mary Jane, we've got Candy Flores behind the scenes, and we got Sir Pooh in the house. What's up, everybody?
Hey, Waxy, how are you?
Awesome. So I want to give a quick background. Jason, if you don't mind, I'd love to have just a quick 20 seconds to give an intro to what you've done and where you're at right now.
Well, right now I'm shooting some early stuff for a documentary called The Cannabis Code, which I've been working on for 10 years, finally getting it up. It's about the mysteries, hidden history, and divine nature of the cannabis plant. And so I've been working on that for a long time. It's been a passion project. It's nearly got up a few times. And each time it fell over, I was just like, well, I know it's going to happen eventually. It's just when the time is right. So now's the time. So I'm here on Kira Beach on the Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia, where I'm from. And we're getting into it. But, you might know me from Wilfred. I made a short film back in 2002 now about Wilfred. It was an Australian series. It turned into an Australian series and then went to America, where we had 4 great seasons. And that spawned my cannabis brand, Wilfred Cannabis, which is so it's about 20, I don't know how many years now since I started Wilfred, but it's been a few years with me and the dog.
Yeah, Jason, we'll dive into it because I just want to give everybody a quick intro into who you are and what you got going on. So we all know Wilfred from the hit TV show Wilfred, but what we don't realize about the man Jason Gann, down here in little old Missouri, little Rolla, Missouri, down here in the Ozarks, we were dealing with trying to land medical marijuana. My friend Jason Gann flew down here with his family, stayed in an Airbnb, stayed for 2 weeks down here, and we smoked a lot of grass together, had a great time. While we landed all these laws down here, he was helping to inspire the voters and all that. And so that's what I kind of wanted to dig into, Jason. I know that you love being boots on the ground where legalization is happening. And I know that right now, Australia is dealing with some legalization pains. Can you kind of give us, because we could talk about Wilfred the show, but I'd love to talk about Jason Gann, the activist, and what you've got going on right now in Australia, because you're doing a lot of things that a lot of people wouldn't think of. And one of those is running for office, pushing the agenda down there in other ways than just being a celebrity in the forefront.
Yeah, I was here maybe a bit over a year ago for the Nimbin Mardi Gras, which is a big kind of, Nimbin is the cannabis capital of Australia. And it's a protest about legalizing cannabis. It's been happening for many years. And even though they have some, forgive the environment here, I'm on location, so it's a bit crazy at times.
You sound great. You sound great, Jason.
So, I was there for this sort of event, and I was there mostly with Wilfred and the brand. And then someone said to me, you should run for office, and that's when it planted the seed. And then, it kept happening. And there's a political party here called the Legalized Cannabis Party. Not many people maybe internationally know about it. And so we have some state elections here in October. And I was recently endorsed as the candidate for Burleigh Heads here on the Gold Coast, which is a electorate where I spend a lot of time. And so the party, has a lot of issues that it pushes. One is, personal use laws, changing the driving laws. We've got some pretty draconian laws here where they actually have swabs. Police have swabs, and if you've had cannabis in your system, like within about 4 or 5 days, then you get charged. You lose your license, you lose your job. So those laws need to be addressed. As I said, there's personal use laws. We're trying to allow that people can grow their own. We do have medicinal medicine allowed here right now, but it's all corporate owned, big corporations, and it's so kind of potent, the cannabis that they're selling. It's like I equate it to like having shots of tequila. And sort of saying, like, if the government was to say, yeah, you're going to drink alcohol, but you got to have it only in shots of tequila. So there's no space for, there's no like smokable, inhalable CBD or Delta 8 or anything milder. So, I mean, the Delta 8 mission is a pet project of mine. Wilfred Cannabis has had Delta 8 in the US for a few years now, and I'm a big supporter of it as a medicine. It's been around since the early 70s. Not a lot of people know that. It's been demonized a lot, but it actually has, it's 2/3 the potency of cannabis.
I felt that I knew.
Well, I actually, Jason, I'm a Delta 8 fan. I think I've told you this before because for some reason it seems to be that one that helps me sleep really well.
Yeah, well, sort of what I like about it is that a lot of people say to me, I'd love to smoke weed, but I just get too paranoid. I get a lot of anxiety, and a lot of studies done on Delta 8, people who enjoy Delta 8 and cannabis, THC, Delta 9, they say that they don't get paranoid and they don't get anxiety. And if you've got issues like PTSD and stuff like that, where anxiety is already an issue, often that's the last thing you want to be doing is smoking cannabis. And I know this personally. And here in Australia, I have this issue. I get anxiety often when I have cannabis because I'm bringing into my cannabis experience my issues already. So, but Delta 8, when I'm in America, I really miss it. I miss it because I can have it. I can smoke it casually throughout the day. I don't need to have a nanny nap. I never get on the phone and say, "Gee, I wish I didn't smoke that blunt before I had this phone call." And so, there's things. That's one issue. That's my pet issue over here. But there's other issues as well. And so, yeah, I'm trying to think off the top of my head what the other main issues are, but I'll probably remember later. But yeah, so I'm a politician now. The election is until October, so I have quite a time before, well, a couple of months before things really ramp up. But yeah, I'm excited.
Well, I don't want to interrupt, but for the folks that haven't seen Wilfred, I want everybody to know that show deals with some very serious issues, and you brought some of that up with the mental health issues. The show deals with suicide, it deals with depression, it deals with anxiety, it deals with cancer, it deals with, in 4 seasons, it tackles what Grey's Anatomy couldn't do in 20. And so I sit there and I think, if this man is going to come out and endorse these products, I sure do want to help you and endorse them as well. But here's what I really want to see, Jason. I want to see Australia go to full adult use and embrace the Wilfred brand hard, because who's been out there screaming for the legalization of cannabis harder than you, Jason, over the last 20 years? I don't know very many people.
Yeah. Look, for years, we've got a couple of Wilfred couple of products on the medicinal market, but it's a very, very tough. I mean, Waxy. I lost all my money years ago. I've been bootstrapping this company for years now, and it's really hard to penetrate as a mom and pop brand. But that's part of it. I mean, one of those things. Another issue is legacy growers. Having priority to enter the legal market. There's none of that right now, and there's nothing about cannabis laws being cannabis crime convictions being expunged. So these are issues that America is ahead of the game on versus Australia. And one of the things that I think I know I bring to the party, which is exciting, is I've worked in the cannabis industry in the United States for 6 years. I've lived in Spain for 3 years. I'm familiar with the laws in both of those countries, and so I can bring that knowledge here, and work out, see what works and what doesn't work. I'm not entirely sure that, like, I'm not one of these guys that's going to say that cannabis is a cure-all without side effects. I don't think that, we don't need 19-year-olds like dabbing from sunrise to sunset. That isn't a medicine anymore. But there's so many other, drugs that are abused, and cannabis can be one of them. But I'm about self-medicating. I spent time in rehab rooms. I spent time in recovery, and you hear the term self-medicating a lot in a negative term. You were once self-medicating. That was wrong. Allow us to medicate you with some pharmaceutical drugs that we've even admitted aren't based. The marketing campaigns back in the 70s weren't based on any kind of fact at all. So, I'm about pushing forward to recognize cannabis as a legitimate medicine, but having it like this in the same way that we may, I can hire a dietitian to give me a diet to eat well for the week, or I can look at the ingredients on what I'm eating and choose my own diet. And the same is with self-medication. When it comes to our mental health, we can be aware, like say we might smoke, like I love a bit of a Wilfred CBD smokes, the hemp smokes. When I'm smoking too much weed, I'll smoke those for a couple of days. I get the CBD rush, I get CBD relief. I'm a smoker, so I like to smoke. I don't want to smoke tobacco, but I'm also not smoking weed from sunrise to sunset. Then there's Delta 8. So, and then like on the weekend, I might want to smoke, like on a Friday and Saturday, some really high level, like potent cannabis, but I may not drink alcohol on those nights. So it's really about empowering. And this is one of the things I'm trying to work with the Australian doctors, is empowering patients, cannabis patients, to be able to self-medicate, regulate what their intake is, and have a variety of different medicines that range in potency for the occasion. Because cannabis is, unfortunately, one of the biggest challenges of cannabis is it's just such an amazing plant. Like, it does three things: it's shelter, it's medicine, it's food, and it's also a recreational tool. It's those four things. And people get lost in the forest when they're trying to deal with all those things on a regulatory basis with medicine. And I don't think, just back to your original question, I don't think Australia is probably ever, or not in my lifetime, going to make it full recreational use. But they've never changed the law back after making it. They're gonna stick with medicinal, but now's the time that the laws are being, made. Now's the time they're being adjusted. So now's the time to get those laws in place. And so I just basically, I want to allow hemp for a start. So hemp CBD is illegal to grow it and to, inhale it or anything like that. So these are the laws that I want to change. So people it'll change the stigma of cannabis too, because there's still a lot of negative stigma in Australia about cannabis being a gateway drug. And I think that if we give some options besides the most potent cannabis that is available, then people will see that there's a lot of variety in its potency, and there's a lot of medicinal potential to be had. As you probably noticed since the last time we spoke, mate, I'm more about talking about the medicinal value of the plant than I was when I was in the States, because that's what the landscape is now. And I'm recognizing it more as medicine, as rather than a recreational drug.
Well, it's medicine first. I think, Mary Jane, it's medicine first, isn't it?
Yes, I know. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I look at it two different ways, because I never really liked the term recreational. That means like you're getting out on a football field, you've got a hemp football, and you're throwing a hemp football. That's recreation, right? Right. This is adult use. This allows adults to use cannabis as they see fit for them, and that's what I live in the state of Ohio, and and we had a ballot issue that passed last December to allow adult use, and it's being enacted right as we speak, so that we can buy it in the stores by the end of the month. But that's kind of how I see it.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah. And so Jason, I have to ask this next, because I know you only have a few minutes left. You've got a lot of stuff going on, and in the beginning you touched on a new project that you have going on. Are you allowed to touch on that a little bit more? And then I also, before you go, I want to talk about the new music video.
Yeah, look, I am in development and pre-production, doing some location scouts for a new comedy series here on the Gold Coast. I'm not announcing too much about it yet, although it's funny. And again, as with Wilfred, it does deal with some mental health issues as well. I can't, my comedies. I mean, it's a big part of my life. I was previously diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and PTSD as a result of early childhood trauma many years ago, and so I've managed my mental health conditions for decades now. So it's something that's I can't really extract it from my comedy or my artistic self. So
Wow.
yeah, that in there. But I've also got this, as I mentioned, the cannabis code, which is a pretty crazy. I say it's part ancient aliens, part what is it? Anthony Bourdain's Parts Unknown. So it's a traveling show, but it really is speaking, through science, but spiritual, the spiritual part of the plant that can't be quantified with biology. That I believe is in cannabis, and a lot of people relate to a lot of the things that I've been talking about. That's a part of this show, part of this movie, this documentary film. But we hope that it does well. We're going to put it in Sundance and a lot of international festivals, and if it's received well, we'll have hopefully a spin-off series.
Very, very cool. Well, Jason, I'd love to, before I let you go, does anybody on the panel have any questions, or did we have any questions in the audience?
No questions in the audience. I just want to recognize that what he mentioned as using it as in different, like the D8 and the CBD and the high THCs. That's great that you mentioned that, because a lot of us do the same, and we want our guests and our audience to know that
If
it's.
I could interject, because one thing I found interesting about Delta 8, and I believe this is correct, back in 1976, now I've had cancer, and I used RSO to treat my cancer. Do you know what RSO is? It's Simpson oil, highly concentrated cannabis oil, to treat it, and I'm being very successful, I think, at doing that. But research showed that back in 1970, 76, something like that, that was it, THC, Delta 8, and something else were shown to have apoptosis. In other words, it caused the cancer cells to die. And so that's what makes it active against cancer. So I thought that was interesting. Way back in 1976, the research, I think it was the University of Virginia, knew about Delta 8.
Yes, that's right. That's right. That's what I discovered too. And so it isn't this new thing. And I'm not sure if that's the study, but I read that the study that when they first discovered that cannabis had cancer eating or destroying components, it was the scientists were actually paid to prove that cannabis created cancer, and they had these lab rats that they pumped full of cancer, and then they give them a bunch of cannabis, and the premise was that the cancer would get worse, and then they'd be able to say cannabis causes cancer, but it did the exact opposite. To their credit, they and admitted what it was, but it gives you an idea about what we're up against when it can say pharmaceutical, big pharma, and you always got to check. You've always got to look at who's doing this study and who's paying for the study, because quite often, the results end up being exactly what the people who are paying for that study want them to be. That's really thanks for chiming in on that Delta 8 issue. It's just something that I remember reading. We're talking about maybe 1991, way before there was the internet. I read a newspaper article that said that it talked about how there was a cannabis, the receptor in the brain, that scientists couldn't find any other purpose for it besides it receiving cannabis and getting you high. And then for me, that was the first time I went, this is a good thing. This is almost like some design. This is like a really natural, really fascinating idea. And so even then, I guess you'd call it my now, I didn't have much weed, I'd only just try having a little bit to hit that receptor, and I'd hit the receptor and I'd go, okay, I'm there. I don't need to just keep pumping bowl after bowl after bowl to get high. You only need to get hit that receptor. So even to this day, I don't smoke a lot of weed. I don't smoke big amounts of weed, but I smoke regularly. But I only smoke, I guess I microdose, what you call what you say in mushrooms.
Yeah, Jason, even when you were seshing with me, like, I knew I was sitting down with the dog. I knew I was sitting down with a stoner icon, and I rolled him up really heavy. And you said, Waxy, I'm going to hit about 1 in every 10 of those. So keep on going, but just understand my level.
Yeah.
I'll take the rest.
Okay.
I wanted to talk about the music, the song, the rap.
Oh, that's what we went in with. If you guys have not listened to Wilfred's new rap song, it's pretty amazing. Can you tell us how that came about? Because it's about what 2 minutes and 15 seconds of absolute culture, weed culture, and how did that come about? And what's the name? The song is "Don't Be a Dog."
And it's also very specifically Australian stoner culture. This one, I years ago now, Wilfred, because I've always been into rap, and Wilfred being a rapper, and I'd written a rap for him many years ago for a stage show, and so I wanted to collaborate with rappers, and I've actually collaborated with a couple of American rappers. Songs haven't been released only because I haven't been happy with them from my end so far, but it's something that I really want to do and collaborate with a lot of rappers, international rappers, as Wilfred, just featuring Wilfred. But I found I met this rapper called Mesk in Australia who I just thought was really kind of edgy, really tough, but really funny. And so when I first heard his music, I said, look, I want to do something with you. And so he came back with this song called "Don't Be a Dog." In Australia, it's a term that comes from prison culture. Really, it's like dog means like the worst kind of person you can be. A dog is someone who will tell the police on you if you've done something wrong, and it's just like it's become this. It's like, "Don't be a dog" has become this real phrase in Australia, which just basically means don't be a lowlife, And so there's some really funny rap in there. If you want to see it, you can go to at Wilfred, which is on my Instagram, and I think at YouTube, Wilfred Australia or Wilfred Rap, Don't Be a Dog, you'll see it. But it's on YouTube. But I was really pleased with it. And so, it's kind of hopefully the sign of more things to come. And I just sort of also thought that Wilfred being a rapper just felt like a natural progression since he has his own cannabis company.
Very, very cool. Well, Jason, I know you've taken time out of a video shoot, photo shoot to get on this podcast with us. I want to give you a great big thank you for that, because I know that every time I've ever asked, you've come through to talk to the people about depression, anxiety, suicide, and comedy. And oftentimes comedy comes before it, and sometimes it comes after it. But what you're really good at is putting it on both sides. And I really appreciate that. So I just want to thank you so much, and thank Dr. Bridget Cole-Williams for having this podcast for us, and everybody that supports it. And Mary Jane, Sir Pooh, thank you guys for coming on. Candy, always in the background, loving it. Jason, we're going to let you go and continue the podcast and talk all about you. And we really appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate you too. Thank you, guys.
Hope to see you again.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
I'll see you when I'm over there. I'm actually going to be there. I'm going to be in Vegas in July at Champs. If anyone is there, I think I'll be doing some rap as well at Champs. I've got a new partnership. We're gonna do a bit of a rebranding of some products there. So if anyone's going to Champs, you can this July, I think it's 22nd or 26th, I'll be there. And so you never know where I'm going to be in the States. Waxy, I hope to run into you again, mate, because I've always enjoyed your company.
Brother, I'll be at Champs. I'll see you there. I wouldn't miss it.
All right.
All right. Stay waxy, my friend. I love you.
Love you guys. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Wow. So I got to ask you guys, what do you guys think of Jason Gann, Wilfred? Now, that's an actor, that's a comedian, that's a superstar, that's a rock star. He does music, he does it all. But have you ever met a celebrity who is so behind the plant like that?
No.
It's amazing.
Not openly. I mean, I
That's
think
definitely
they're out there, just not someone who's openly and overt about it.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you know, it's wild. That man could have he could have gone to Australia back in the day and made a lot of money after Wilfred and done all that, but he traveled around real hard, pushing his CBD brand, pushing Wilfred's brand, and really, what I can say is that when he came to my community, he was not out to make a dime. That man stayed and he got on the radio and he pushed the voters. He went to the shops. He energized everybody for the vote, even though obviously the middle of the United States, Missouri, doesn't make an impact on his business. But he came out here and he helped us legalize. And I think that that's the great thing about that is like a lot of celebrities will push their brand where their brand counts. He wasn't making money here. He took time out of his international schedule to help a little community because I reached out and said, hey, we could use some help. So I love that there's people like that out there. I just do.
Well,
Right.
I'm just curious, Waxy, because you know, I'm not sure what year did you legalize? You legalized adult use, didn't you?
We went to
And I know
we
you've
went to
got medical.
adult use last year. We've been medicalized for going on five years now.
You're about in the same path. That's about the same path as Ohio. Because what I'm curious about is that he came to help you. Now, do you think you influenced the vote?
I'll say it like this: we passed by 52%. So every single person that said the word marijuana at that time influenced the vote. And having a celebrity down, I know that it made me work harder, and I was pushing really hard for legalization. So can I say he influenced the numbers? I actually would honestly say maybe yes, I do think so. I do think that people like Jason Gann, when they flex their muscles and they open their mouths and they have legitimate things to talk about with cannabis, they can move that needle just enough for us. I mean,
Right,
where would we be without Jason Gann's?
Well, your margin was less than ours. Ours was 57 to 43, I think, in last November. But you know, it doesn't really matter because once you go over the 50, assuming you're a 50% threshold state, once you go over that, you're fine. You know, so you know, but life is lived on those margins, though.
Yeah, and we were a voter initiative state, so we're a red state. So pushing a grow your own, you know, because right here I can cultivate my own cannabis, and I can grow for three other people, including myself. I can grow for four gardens. Yeah, I can make.
That's
I can
better
make. I
than
can make.
Ohio, we have where they're debating it down at the State House right now, but we can have 6 plants as, you know, like an individual, and 12 plants as a group. You know.
So we have a caregiver program. So if I want to cultivate,
caregivers create. We have caregivers for the medical program, but nothing for the adult use, and they can't grow. But your caregivers there can grow. That's like Michigan. That's like Michigan.
We combined our medical and rec when it came to a lot of the verbiage. So I can provide for 3 other people and grow their gardens for them and charge. The idea is like you trade for charge for services or whatever, but I try not to get into the money side of stuff on videos. But it can be a business.
Of course. That's enlightened. I like that.
Yeah, I think what's wonderful is like Australia. The reason I'm a huge fan of Wilfred, I've been to Australia a lot. I was in the Navy for 8 years, and part of that being a West Coast sailor is you go to Australia a lot. And I've been to Darwin, Australia, Townsville, Australia, and I wasn't a cannabis guy then because I was in the service. So I saw people that were like more free-natured than us, more belligerently about nature. They lived with the Aborigines next to them. When I got out of the Navy and realized that cannabis was completely illegal there, I was like, holy shit, really? Those people aren't smoking weed. They already, first off, are all about being in tune with everything around them, the nature side of everything. Like you'll just find that with Australians. And what I learned real quick was that they were still missing the boat big time on cannabis. And so folks like Jason have been there trying to legalize. You got to think, you got a guy right there that if Australia was legal, his face would be on every package. They love him there. He's had so much success in Australia, but he can't even smoke his own CBD cigarettes there. That's a true story. He can't buy them there.
Wow.
Yeah. So while he's back there, like doing all this legalization stuff and everything, that's treacherous for a man like that. Because I'll tell you something that a lot of people don't know about Jason Gann is that when you watch the Wilfred show, he personally, and he hinted on it, he personally deals with depression. He personally has had brushes with suicide. And he's talked about it publicly, so I can say that. He personally has had all these issues that you see in that show. That's Jason bringing all that to life on a piece of paper and then breathing it into life in this dog costume. And so now to have him out there, being able, I want him to, when they legalize, I want him to make $1 billion. I want him to be the most successful dog on the planet because he said he's bootstrapping it. That's real. No one is like, there just hasn't been that market for a brand like Wilfred. So I look for that when Australia goes big, for Wilfred to go big and for Jason to get his ends, because I believe in that man as a comedian, but most of all, as an activist that walked alongside of us the whole time. Nobody's reporting that Jason Gann, Wilfred the dog, came down to Rolla, Missouri and put his voice out there to help legalization in little old Missouri in the middle of the United States for no reason other than he was kind. And that's what we need to realize is that our culture is built on kindness. Our culture is built on aggressive people coming at our kindness. Mary Jane, you can attest to that all day.
Oh, yeah. Don't get me started.
I also loved how he mentioned spiritual, because, to many of us, the plant is very spiritual. So I love that he mentioned that as well. Knowing, what he's been through and everything, I actually, you can hear it in his voice, his passion.
Yeah,
I mean, his story says it all, but.
Go ahead, Sir Pooh.
No, you definitely can. You can hear it in his voice, and the things he talked about was very important.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I'll give you a little personal story. When I first met Jason Gann, I brought him down to the radio station. We sat in a little room, which I called my office, and it's a place where we smoked a lot of pot and had a giant whiteboard. He sat down before we talked about anything. He smelled the room. We had pot burning. He looked at the whiteboard and he said, "Waxy, this looks like my days in television." He goes, "Are we about to do some things?" I was like, "Yes, we are." And when he sat down, I found out real quick that the years of me like loving on this dude and all the shows and everything, within 5 minutes, I realized that there was nothing there that wasn't just the realest guy on the planet when it came to these things. Like, you realize real quick that, and I'm sure that there's folks in this room right now, Sir Pooh, I'm sure you deal with issues, we all do, like anxiety, depression. When you have a celebrity that'll take and slice all that open and leave it out there for everybody, it's awesome to see, because who are our weed celebrities? They're great. We have Willie Nelson, we got our Afro Mans, we got our all these Cheech and Chongs, and we got our Seth Rogans, but and they are real. They're all real people, but you got to look past for a little while to see the real Willie Nelson. You got to look into some news articles, and you got to do this. Not Jason Gann, not Wilfred. It's the most clear-cut picture of a person I've ever seen on television. And it took a while to realize, the guy that I was talking to, the guy that you guys just interviewed, he's exactly what that show is. And it's an armor, a shield, and a sword that he lifted up against his demons, and he used cannabis and television to do it, and it was amazing.
That's wonderful. That's just wonderful.
And this new video is really nice too.
It is. It rocks. I've listened to it 5 times today.
I can't wait to check it out. I wrote it down.
Yeah, I checked it out earlier today too.
Well, if you wrote it down, Candy, can you send the URL to us?
Yeah.
Yeah, would you please? Or to the group, really, to the group if you can.
Yeah, no, I'll send it to.
It's a cool video. It definitely has those a different kind of rap vibe than what we're currently listening to in the United States. In the United States right now, we're either listening to weed rap or we're listening to Drake and that other dude get into it. And so it's a breath of fresh air to see Wilfred, Don't Be a Dog. And knowing that now I'm going to rewatch it, because I didn't know that Don't Be a Dog has some real heaviness to it when you call somebody a dog in Australia. So I got to go rewatch that and see what they're talking about.
Yeah, I didn't notice that either.
The video's
That was
fun.
an interesting
Wilfred's,
comment.
yeah, Wilfred's grinding his weed in the video, and they're blazing up, and they're running down the
Yeah,
street. It's a cool
it's
video.
nice.
Really
Yeah,
awesome. Awesome.
but
And
that's
so where is Jason originally from? Because I do see he has an
Australia.
accent.
Yeah,
Australia. Okay,
he,
that's what
yeah,
I
he's
thought
from
with his
Australia.
accent.
Yeah, so the way the show started, he did a little short, Wilfred short, back in the day in Australia. I think this would have been 2000, and if I think I'm correct, 2007. And in 2008, they picked up Wilfred on the Australian market, picked up a Australian version of Wilfred. Well, David Zuckerberg, the director and producer in the United States, fell in love with it and brought Jason to America to do a American version of Wilfred. And he brought on some of the most amazing people. He's got Elijah Wood as his lead in the show, and then Wilfred, obviously. But some of the most amazing parts of that show is there was a fan that called Jason Gann and said, "I need to be on this show," and it was Robin Williams, and who, of course, was dealing with his own very big issues at the time.
Mhm.
And so they, of course, wrote Robin Williams into the script. They said, of course, we're going to put you in. So Robin Williams ends up being Wilfred's doctor. And it's a pretty intense time when Robin Williams is on there. You go back and watch those episodes, and it is some of the strongest support of paying attention to mental health that I've ever seen on television in my lifetime.
Wow.
And knowing what
But yeah,
happened ultimately to Robert Williams, it really is poignant.
Yeah, and you know, I can't imagine what was in Robin Williams' head when he saw that show, saw that it was dealing directly with the issues that he was dealing with, and he made that call and said, "I'm going to be on that show." And Jason said, "I'm going to put you on that show," and they wrote him into the script. So it's a pretty phenomenal Robin Williams story. If we get Jason on again, I'd love for him to tell that story, because the way he tells it brings tears to your eyes every time, because he knew how important that man in the room was with him. And because I'll be honest, and he's probably listening right now. I have a friend named Grant Ammon, the Navy veteran, photojournalist friend of mine who follows me on socials. He actually spent a couple days with Robin Williams. And I don't know if I'm talking out of turn, but one of the things that Grant came back to me with was, you can see every bit of his feelings on the outside, the depression, the anxiety, all that on the outside. And I feel like it's the same way with Jason Gann. When we talk to artists like that who give their 100% to a craft, while at the same time trying to hold on to their ideals and beliefs in a state where they're completely illegal, of course, with Jason, it can be a very intense road. And I'll say this, I'm very glad Jason Gann is around today to be on this podcast with us, because he's dealt with the darkness. He's felt it front to front, face to face. He's been on the front lines of depression, anxiety, all the things that Wilfred goes through and Elijah Wood goes through in that show. So everybody that's listening, I want you guys to go watch Wilfred, see it with a new eye, see it with from the patient's perspective, and tell me that stoner that we interviewed earlier wasn't so far above the conversation. He was so ahead of his game. If that show released today, it'd be right there with Workaholics, Trailer Park Boys, all the stoner icon shows. It'd be with the Cheech and Chongs. It'd be riding neck and neck with Weeds. But it was before that. It was when the struggle was a struggle and not us winning. So it's interesting to see mental health go face to face with a stoner dog. And that's why I love that show.
And definitely, I feel that, people don't understand those invisible illnesses. That, to me, is classified as an invisible illness because people don't know what you go through when you suffer from mental health. And a lot of times when you're going through severe health issues, of course, then you get depression and you get, then it just gets worse. So a lot of that invisible illnesses, it hits close to home for myself. So I'm glad that, I just needed that today. It was an amazing conversation with him, and I'm definitely going to check out his show tonight.
What you just said reminded me of something. One of my favorite things about Jason Gann, that guy that was just on here, there's been several times in my life, and even a week and a half ago, I have an epilepsy patient staying at my house that is on cannabis and on the and I introduced him to the Wilfred show. He's just staying here for a couple weeks. Introduced him to the Wilfred show, and I got Wilfred on the screen, and I said, "Hey, buddy, I just want to tell you, I'm introducing this epilepsy patient to the show." Man, he spent time talking to the patient. I've done that before in different times in my life over the last 5 or 6 years, where I've called Jason because there's people that are affected by that show in big ways. I mean, big ways. And one of the things I found out real quick is, you know who likes to hear that patients, cannabis patients, love his show? Jason Gann. He loves to hear that, and not in an egotistical way, but in a way that a nurse likes to know that they help somebody, or you help somebody cross the road the right way, or whatever it is. So I can just say this about the man. I've said a lot. I sound like a fanboy, and I am. He's always there for the people. He's always there for the patient. His comedy is spot on. It's driven by the mental health issues that we all deal with day to day. So I want you all to soak in his art, the things that he's left for us.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to go back again and say, do you have some links and stuff that you could share with us or share with the audience so that they can have the same, interest as you do? They can understand what you're talking about.
I don't have a link. Let me see.
But the truth is, you can find Wilfred on FX. Wilfred is on Hulu. It's on Disney. It's very well distributed. Like the show is great. But it's on Hulu, so you can catch it on there, or there's lots of YouTube stuff.
Okay.
And it.
What I meant was I don't have a link, but Candy might.
No, I'm gonna look it up, and I was gonna put it in our group chat. I'll send it in there if I find it before y'all, because I don't have it up.
And
you have the audience get the links too. I think the audience would like to. If you have something that we could provide to the audience, that would be nice too.
Yep, and here's one for you too. You guys can go to www.wilfredcbd.com, and you could support him that way by buying his CBD products and his Delta 8 products and his THC products. Everything on his site is federally compliant.
What was it, Waxy?
WilfredCBD.com.
I take it those are hemp derived, Delta 8 and 9.
Yeah, they're all federally compliant.
Yeah. In other words, they're derived from hemp, not marijuana. Yeah, obviously you understand the difference.
Sure, I guess there's some other cannabinoids out there like HHC and other ones that might be in some of his products that he'll have listed, but yeah, most of it's going to be hemp derived.
Right.
Nice. Okay, well. Are we wrapping it up for tonight?
Yeah, I think that's it, guys. I think that was a wonderful show. I appreciate everybody. Serpu, thanks for being on and listening to that, because I think I'm going to watch. You're going to become a super fan of Wilfred. And Mary Jane.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking it up tonight.
Go ahead, Serpu.
I said I'm going to look it up tonight, especially about the mental health, because I just dealt with that with my family in March. So with one of my cousins. So I definitely... Deep dive into it.
Roll you a big blunt and watch the first episode, and you guys will be hooked. I just promise you that. It's a very serious and fun show, but at the same time, it's a part of our culture that's not talked about. We're such a fun culture. We put the fun in functional so much that we forget about the functional side, and that's where Jason stands. He's about comedy. He's about low doses and big doses of humor. So I want you all to check him out. All right, so you guys want to wrap it up?
Yes, that sounds good.
All right, cool. You guys
I'd like to thank the audience for attending. I like to say, if I see this in the chat, I just like to thank the audience for attending and being part of our encouraging comedy. So thank you, whoever's out there. I don't know if there's one person or 250,000, but I do really thank you for tuning in.
Yes, absolutely. Awesome. Show some love and support. Share with your friends and family.
You bet.
Encouraging Cannabis.
Yeah, you guys check out courageandcannabis.com to check out that book. And we really appreciate everybody. Big, giant thank you to Wilfred, Jason Gann. It's hard to get the two of them in the same room, but we seem to somehow do it. Big shout out to Dr. Bridget Cole-Williams for helping us put this show on and being the heart behind it all. And Candy, we appreciate you DJing and scratching in the background, making everything look really great. So Sir Pooh, thank you. And Mary Jane, always thank you for the perspective, because that's what really matters at the end of the day. Everybody check out www.wilfredcbd.com and check out www.courageofcannabis.com. Y'all stay waxy, and we really appreciate you guys tuning in tonight.
I'm about to have a good day, no matter what they say. Sun is shining down on me, birds are singing praise. I'm about to have a good day in every single way.